Hi there. My name's John. It's another day, and I really need a haircut. First, let's talk about power. There's kind of like two facets of it that I want to discuss. The first is mundane, so we're talking like political, monetarily, social. And then we can talk about the fantastic stuff, which is like magic and God. It's more fun and flashy, but I think it illustrates the thing. So, a while back when I was younger, I used to wonder what sort of person I'd be if I got in charge. And I was like, oh my god, I'd be the fucking worst dictator the world has ever seen. Like, Mussolini's got nothing like me. Fucking Stalin, amateur hour. I sincerely thought this. Now, I think I'm not a bad person, which, let's be frank, doesn't say a lot about me because everyone thinks they're not a bad person. But I just know I have a tendency in me to micromanage and dig into stats and treat people like things sometimes. And that's not good because I do believe that the source of all evil on this planet is treating people like things. You don't see people, you see control groups for your study. You don't see people, you see a voting bloc to sway to vote for you. You see your audience for a product. You see statistics. Sometimes you just see animals. Thankfully, I don't do that one. But I get really stuck in the statistics stuff. I'm like, wow, we can increase productivity 2.5% if we eliminate bathroom breaks. Like, if you put me in charge of Amazon, like, I probably wouldn't make the same decisions anymore. So I thought we'll get into that later. But that's how I used to think. I used to think like, wow, you cannot put me in power because everyone's life would be devastated. Like, there is no humanity here. It's just cold calculus and churning of mechanical gears in this looking up here. And the business will run better than ever. The country will run better than ever. But goddamn, it'll be a miserable place. And then I actually, got a bit of responsibility, and I, in some cases, became an authority. So, a couple of years ago, I was taking some geography courses, and I was the best person, bar none. And a lot of people came to me for help, and I helped them without second thoughts. I just helped them. I shared their burdens. I put myself under a lot more work to keep these people, I guess, working. And the same thing has kind of happened again. So I'm a manager at my friend's business, and I have people who will do whatever I say. I could tell them, go do jumping jacks, and they might wonder why, but maybe they would do the jumping jacks. And I've realized that all I do is give them the easier jobs, the simpler jobs, and I take the dangerous ones, the more complicated ones, the ones where there's liability involved. I buffer them from the clients who might be upset for various reasons. And I'm kind of coming around to the fact that maybe I'm not a terrible, I wouldn't be a terrible overlord, and maybe I'd just be some guy, just like a normal guy, who cares about people, and, is not a statistical monster, cuts the bottom 5% of every corner. And I found some solace in that. I thought it was kind of nice to realize that maybe I'm not secretly some sort of like cackling evil maniac who fucking throws the lever and lightning pours down into his creation. And I go, arise, arise. I'm not that kind of maniac. So that was a comforting thing. Let's go back a bit further. Because I was thinking about it, and I did start off by wondering, what would I do if I was president or prime minister? I started off wondering, because when I was a kid, I read nothing but fantasy books every single day, maybe like 2 or 3 a week. My head was filled with fluffy notions of magic. And so let's get into the fantastical sense of power, which is, being an all-supreme mage, or some sort of, like, fucking god man's 7-minute break to make him squeeze another 3% efficiency to shift hissing. Before that, I used to wonder, what would I do if I was God for a day? Now, this might seem like blasphemy, but I'm one of the few people that I've ever met who falls into the category of agnostic, specifically theistic agnostic. I'd like to think that there's something out there. I really do. I think it would be the neatest thing ever if there's some sort of higher power. But I'm pretty convinced that we wouldn't have figured out what it is. So, unfortunately, I kind of pissed off both the atheist and theist camps, because I say there's probably a God. I hope there's a God, but it's probably not one that anyone has ever heard of. So you're all fucking wrong, which is kind of ridiculous, but it's what I believe. And anyways, so it's not blasphemy to wonder, what would I do if I was a god for a day? And way back when I was much younger, I used to think, oh my god, I'm gonna be smiting people left and right and fucking throwing fireballs and lightning bolts, and the whole world will feel my wrath and terror, and yada yada yada, just basic god shit, but I question now, like, what would I do now that I feel like I wouldn't be going around murdering people, let's be real, or turning people into robots with statistics and synergies and all that other business corporate talk. I don't know. I really don't. Maybe I'd just be some guy who just is forgiving and whatnot. And it just kind of makes me wonder, like, what might really be out there. Because, if there is a God, and, maybe the Christians have it, that we're kind of molded after that same God, maybe he's just some guy. Maybe he's not, like, he doesn't have a plan. Maybe he's just a kid, the divine equivalent of a kid who fucking pushes his fingers together and goes like, oh, I have a dinosaur in this hand and I have a fucking transformer in this hand, and he just bashes them together. Maybe that's what he was doing. And then we're here, and he goes, whoa, that's so weird, and he's watching. Or maybe it's not. Maybe he found some other toys to play with. We don't know. Right? This is my point. I'm definitely not the guy for this. So, it just kind of makes me wonder what really might be out there, and or who, or like, other things like that. There's a while where I was entertaining the concept of a zero-sum game based on kind of like natural evolution. So, oh god, there's this concept. What is it? It's related to eugenics. It's dumb and stupid, but I can't remember the term. The gist of it is that things will evolve to beat other things. So something that beats other things is more evolved than others. Now, as a biologist, I can tell you that's baloney. Everything is as equally evolved as everything else. It's literally had the same time scale of evolution from the last universal common ancestor. Like, a worm has been around since that guy as long as we have. Now, we're more complicated than worms, but we're not more evolved than a worm. Anyways, so there's a while where I was wondering, like, hey, like, what if out there's the divine heavenly equivalent of natural selection, where we're essentially breeding for bigger and bigger bastards who are able to kill and outcompete other gods, right? Now, of course, this is contingent on a couple things. One, that there's more than one god. Two, that evolution can occur on the divine scale. And actually, I'll add a third one. That you can even kill a god, right? And so, but if you allow for all three kind of assumptions to be made, then perhaps you could get a god who is exceptional at getting rid of other gods. Because at some point, when we're talking about existence, there would eventually be a creature or a god who is so powerful that nothing can exist without their permission. And anything that comes close to threatening will cease to exist. And they won't even know why, they will just cease. Because that is the power of that deity. And that was not a comforting kind of thought to have way back, this about 2 years ago. Because unfortunately, it made a bit of sense to me back then. Now, I don't know if it makes a lot of sense now. I've had some more thoughts and a lot of time to think about this, but I don't know. Hopefully whatever's out there is a little kinder to us than old John thought he would be. Hey, we're all still alive, so I guess that's a pretty good start. But yeah, that's kind of it. Really do wonder what is out there. Really wonder if someone here on this planet has gotten it. Like, if it is one of the big religions, I'd be very pleasantly surprised. Because, I don't know, it just seems like a crapshoot. Like, hey, you know, we all say we're right. And we all say the other guy is wrong. So, how can we really, like, be sure that all of them are wrong? I mean, hey, maybe they're all right. Maybe there's more than one God. Maybe they're all coexisting up there instead of, you know, competing to be the strongest. I think that'd be a nice idea. I'd be pleasantly surprised. Well, I guess I won't know till I die. Anyways, thanks for listening. Bye for now.